Hi there, welcome to Nepi Invest. Now, in this video, what I'm going to be looking at is a company called Quorum Group. I don't know much about this company until I really started doing or preparing for this video. So one of the benefits of actually doing these videos is I can get a better understanding and appreciation of companies I haven't looked at in the past. And Quorum Group definitely fits that bill or falls into that category. So the logo on the right there, on the top right, is half the truth. Of course, Quorum Group can be separated into two businesses, Quorum Health, and I believe Quorum Health looks at improving workflow efficiencies for pharmacies, and the other half of the business, or the other half of the Quorum Group is Quorum E-commerce. So in this video, I won't really take a deep dive into what those two businesses do. Instead, I'm just going to look at how the company or the group is performing and take a look at their Appendix 4C that they released on April the 22nd. So before we look at the Appendix 4C, just a few facts in regards to Quorum Group. The ticker code for Quorum Group is COO, market cap of only 55 million, so on the low side there. We do have revenue of $11 million, or just shy of $11 million. And the interesting thing for me personally is they are operational cash flow positive. And in the trailing 12 months, they did see $2.5 million of cash coming into their operations. Calculate the price to sales ratio, only 5.2, nothing too great there. And because they are operational cash flow positive, we can actually calculate one of my favorite metrics, which is enterprise value to operational cash flow. And we do get a number there of around 15 to 20. So on the high side there, but that's only because the operational cash flow is a little bit low there, but it is potentially growing. So if you do want to have a closer look at their Appendix 4C, they did release that on the 22nd of April. So now let's have a look at the first thing I always look at when I see an Appendix 4C being released by a company. And the first thing I always go to when I see an Appendix 4C is the cash flows from operating activities. I just want to see if a company is generating cash in their operations. It's a very important thing for me, and I really do rate any sort of company that can generate cash in operations, because in the future, the way to grow, or the best way to grow a company, is through your operations. That means you don't have to do any capital raisings or borrow any money. So Quorum Group has reached that point mostly. So receipts from customers for the most previous quarter, 3.7 million. So they are growing revenue and they are growing receipts. And we do know that if you look just next to that number of 3.7 million, over the past 9 months, they have receipts of 10.3 million, and the previous year is just a little bit higher than that. So they're more than likely we're going to see that revenue for this current financial year be higher than the previous year. But the most important number here for me is to see whether the company is operational cash flow positive or negative. That's right at the bottom there. And for the current quarter, they were positive by 562,000. Now you might be confused, but even though they were operational cash flow positive, they actually did lose cash during the year. So they began the quarter with $7.6 million of cash and finished it with $7.1 million. And the reason they did lose cash during the year was they spent $887,000 on intellectual property. So I'm not really showing you cash flows from financing or investing activities, but that is something you do have to look at when you look at an Appendix 4C. But the big thing I really want to focus on is operating activities, because that's the main driving force behind the business in the long run. In isolation, a company's cash receipts for one quarter means really nothing, in my opinion. What you want to see is some sort of trend, and preferably an upwards trend at that. So here is receipts history for Quorum Group going back to January 2020. So we have 6 quarters of history here, and the trend is up. So that's a good sign for the company. In fact, when you calculate the compound quarterly growth rate of receipts, we do get 9%. That's pretty good for a quarterly growth rate. If you saw an annual growth rate of about 10%, you might be happy with that sort of growth. So a good growth for Quorum Group, and added onto that fact that they are operational cash flow positive, we do have some good signs for the company moving forward. Looking at the financial state of the company is all good, but you also need to look at the chart of a company to see what the sentiment's like, to see if the share price is in the right trend to take a position. So I'm going to be showing you the weekly and daily chart for Quorum Group. And when you look at the weekly chart, you do see a couple of very interesting things here. If we go back to 2018 and the first half of 2019, share price was going sideways, not a lot of volume. So volume is on the bottom there, not a lot of volume. So the market was not at all interested in Quorum Group going back then. The market did show a little bit more interest once we headed towards the end of 2019. We saw that with increasing volume in the share price really took off. In fact, the share price went from about 2.5 cents to a high of 8 cents. And then COVID-19 financial panic hit, and we did see the share price pull back towards 3 cents. Now, we saw the share price level off, and then the market became interested in Quorum Group again towards the end of 2020, and the share price went on another run, went from about 5 cents to a high of 12 cents in towards November or so in 2020. And then ever since then, it looks like the share price has leveled off or has consolidated for about 6 months. The other really good thing we've seen in the volume of Quorum Group since October last year is a really good increase in volume. That shows you the market's getting excited. Maybe some fund managers becoming interested in Quorum Group because they are operational cash flow positive. So that's the one thing I really like to look at, is an increase in volume, particularly if fund managers are becoming interested in a company. The last thing I want to show you is the daily chart. So I always look at least a 6-month daily chart of a company, because when you look at this sort of chart, you can gauge the short to medium term sentiment in a company. And when you look at the sentiment in Quorum Group, you have to say it's neutral, because the share price has been going sideways for about 6 months. So neither the bulls nor the bears are winning at this point in time. Now, there was a little bit of interest in Quorum Group the day before they did or released their Appendix 4C. Share price shot up to 12 cents on higher volume, and then a little bit of selling came in and pushed the share price below 10 cents by the end of trading on that day. Not sure why the market got excited. Maybe they were anticipating a really good Appendix 4C. Then on the day they released their Appendix 4C, the next day, the market was quite muted. In fact, the share price fell. So at this point in time, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, there's no reason to buy into Quorum Group just yet, unless you had really high conviction about the future of the company. And that means you've done a lot of research on their two businesses. You think the future of this company is exceptionally strong. That's probably the only reason you might take a position at these prices. Otherwise, what I'll be doing is just waiting for the share price to break out on high volume, and ideally that would be coinciding with a positive news from a company, and ideally that positive news will be financial related, like a really good Appendix 4C or a half-yearly report or yearly report that was really positive and showed the company was highly profitable. Until then, just remain on the sidelines. Be patient, because you never know what bad news could come in the future, or even what good news. So I prefer just to wait for a breakout in the share price. And that's all I've got for this video on Quorum Group. If you do have any questions about this company, leave it in the comments section. If you're a shareholder of Quorum Group, I would love to hear your opinion on the company. Otherwise, I'm not a financial advisor, so if you do need to seek financial advice, make sure you find someone who is qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's all for this video. Have a good day. Bye.